I'm Isabel Correll. I'm the widow of an Episcopal clergyman who spent his whole ministry in Virginia. So I've lived in this area all my life, and I'm 92 now. So it's been a while. Yes, my husband died 15 years ago. I have 3 grown children. One lives in Chicago, and the 2 girls live in Rhode Island. So I very much need to be looked after. My mother was a Virginian raised in Cumberland County, and my father was a Marylander. Well, I was invited to be a regent for Kenmore, and it was during that time that the opportunity to get Ferry Farm arose. Walmart owned it, and we found out through research that they planned to put a store in the middle of it and blacktop the rest of it. And the director, whose name was Vernon Edenfield, found this out, and he and I determined that couldn't happen. This was the last national treasure that had not been chosen and developed, and we felt a total responsibility to rescue it. So he and I called all of our regions. Originally, Kenmore had a representative in each state. Mrs. Coolidge, when her husband was president, organized that. So we telephoned each one and told them what was available, what we could do, that Walmart said they would sell it to us at $2 million. We didn't have any money to fall back on then. And so we said, we're calling to see if you will support us in the purchase of Ferry Farm. And each person said, absolutely, we cannot let Walmart have it and put a store on this sacred land. And we will support you, do whatever you can. So we had 100% participation, and I have been absolutely captivated by it from then on. I still work for it. I try to raise money. I'm not always successful, but I try. Well, it's a perfectly stunning situation on a hill right by the river that goes by and overlooking Fredericksburg, and the history that preceded our interest in it when the Indians lived here, and the Revolutionary War took place, part of it, on this land. The Civil War had a lot of activity here, and the Union forces crossed the river. They made a pontoon bridge of turning skiffs upside down, and so that's the way they entered Fredericksburg. And all that happened right here. And our archaeology efforts have turned up relics of both of those wars. Well, I've seen a great many of them, and I think the bits of china that represent Mrs. Washington's use of china are fascinating, and putting this little piece and that little piece together. I don't know how they have the patience to do it, but we have a team that has found wonders. Well, I was so fortunate. I was in the right place at the right time. I was chairman of the uh, trustees at that time, and so I was the one that had the privilege of signing the deed. Oh, marvelous feeling, and history is not just an everyday affair, making history. So I was ever so fortunate to be able to have a part in that. I think our managing team has been extremely careful in the way they have proceeded. Every step, every thought has been documented carefully, and we hope to take George Washington back into schools and to have him as an example for young people, again, with his honesty and integrity. We don't seem to have much leadership in that now. Well, I think I've had a wonderful education, and I think my parents were instrumental in my being curious about history. And I live in an area where a lot of history was made. I have an ancestor that signed the Declaration of Independence. He was Samuel Chase of Maryland. Not a very well-behaving gentleman, but he got things done in a rough kind of way. But we've always been very proud of it. We could call him our great-great-great-grandfather. You know, his father died when he was very young, and he took over the leadership of the family. His mother was a strong-willed woman, and he learned from her and from the responsibility he had of being the head farmer here at 9 years old. The foundry, the furnace, which is just up the way, he ran that also. He provided the care for his mother, who was ailing and cross and difficult, and his siblings. And we feel that this is his background that enabled him leadership abilities he may not have had otherwise. Well, I think it's absolutely thrilling to walk on land that George Washington stepped on. It's now available to every American, which has not always been a reality. And I'm thrilled every time I come here to think that he lived here and he has meant so much to our nation, beginning right here.